Hi guys! So we decided that we were going to do a little research on Nelson Mandela. To start with, we apologize in advance for any nervous laughter you may hear. We understand that it's immature, but right this minute, it's nervous giggles of children or crying. And
we don't mean it disrespectfully.
It's not funny, and we know it, and that's just all there is to it.
It's so horrible that it's either that or throw your computer through a window.
Yeah.
Because at this point, seeing some of these pictures and reading some of the things I've read...
And by the way, there are no graphic photos that we put on.
No graphic.
We chose not to.
Nothing. This slideshow will be completely safe.
Completely G.
But seeing the pictures that we've seen and reading what we've read about this man, it makes you want to put a hole through the wall. So the nervous laughter is almost a way of canceling out that anger. Yeah. Because you're so frustrated because there's nothing you can do about this. Mm-mm. And people don't understand what's going on. And anyways, we'll get into the video.
So Nelson Mandela, as you see him here on the left, he was born to an African royal family. He went to university. I'm told he became a lawyer. I honestly couldn't find where that is so. I don't dispute it. I just couldn't find it. So people say he did become a lawyer. Good for him. So at some point during his young life in 1961, he became upset with South African apartheid. Understandably so. It's never appropriate to keep people oppressed for any reason based on the color of their skin. That's not appropriate. People should always have equal rights and equal representation under the law. However, his choice and how he handled it was most inappropriate. He decided to help co-found an organization called Umkhonto we Sizwe. If I said that wrong, I am not sorry. It is a terrorist organization that is responsible under his own orders for bombings that killed hundreds of women and children, some men I'm sure, but mostly women and children. He bombed churches. His organization bombed beaches. They did bomb things like electrical plants as well. But when that didn't work, they went on to innocent civilians. In 1961, that's when this started. In 1962, he left South Africa to raise aids and funding for the ANC, which I believe stands for the African National Congress or Council. I honestly don't remember off the top of my head. We'll put a link and you can read it for yourself. He was trying to raise money for this group he was with. He went to places like West Germany, Fidel Castro, as you can see here in his lovely befreckled face.
Good old Fidel.
He also was friends with like Muammar Gaddafi, Communist China, the USSR. This is a picture of the Umkhonto we Sizwe. This is them marching around. Note the choice of marching steps. I leave that to your own discretion. Now, honestly, lots of people choose to march this way. I just thought it was funny.
This is funny, quote unquote.
And so eventually he came back to South Africa and was arrested and put in prison for, I believe, 17 or 18 years, give or take. Look, this guy was bad, and there isn't really a better way to put it. The people he surrounded him with, honestly, I wish this guy was still around to keep Libya under control. That's Muammar Gaddafi, for those of you who don't recognize him.
Bad guy. Very, very bad guy.
Yeah, but at least there weren't any open slave markets in Libya when he was there.
Yeah, you've almost got to choose lesser of two evil type things. Mm-hmm. So
while Nelson Mandela was in prison in 1985, and we have a little thing at the end that we'll recap this on, but in 1985, he was offered release by the president of South Africa if he chose to renounce violence as a way of seeking political power. He refused. In 1985, you had Nelson Mandela's terrorist group bombing people, terrorizing people, torturing people. Nelson Mandela's wife had a lovely side job of doing what's called necklacing people.
Makes me sick.
It is sick. Necklacing people isn't about a diamond necklace or anything lovely. It's where you take a rubber tire, you fill it with petrol, and you squish it around a person's abdomen, legs, face,
or any combination
it fits on, and you set it on fire. If you do it to their face, their eyeballs explode before they die.
Yeah.
It takes about 20 minutes to die this way.
Look up the pictures at your own risk. I've looked at those.
Do not look them up with children present.
No, don't. It's so disgusting to look at.
It's worse than the Jewish Holocaust pictures in Germany, and I've seen a lot of those.
It's bad. It is so
and
bad.
They're in color.
Yeah, I mean it's there for everyone to see, and they're recent. Some of them look very recent. It's apparently a big deal over there.
So,
back on topic.
This is the guy that later became president of South Africa. By the way, their economy went to bust under them.
What economy?
The white people in that country became a disenfranchised minority because the whites in South Africa were already a minority when they were in power. When Nelson Mandela came into power, they became a disenfranchised minority with little or no government representation. That's always wrong. If you're a citizen of a country, you should have equal representation under the law, just like we do in the United States. It doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter why. Unless you were a prisoner who is in prison, you should get representation by your government. Period. Right now, that many of them live below many of the white South Africans, sometimes called Afrikaners or the Boers, live in or below the poverty rate or in squatters' camps because their property was taken by force by the government and a bunch of other reasons. They can't get jobs. Oh, by the way, Cape Town is about to run out of potable water, that is drinking water. Why? Because they have this weird idea that you have to hire an equal number. It's that whole, what do we do here? What do we call it here in the United States? It's where you hire people based on the demographics, not based on their quality of work.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember.
I'm too tired to think about it right now. My brain is bombed. Not by drugs.
No, by certain images.
Yeah, it's bombed right now. Basically, so that they aren't hiring people who can do the job to fix the water issue, which they've known about for over a decade. There are a lot of white people who are engineers who know how to fix this problem who can't get a job because they have to hire more blacks than whites because of their laws. Now, if a purple person can do the best job, hire the purple person.
Mm-hmm. You should be hired on merit, not physical appearance.
These are ideas that he, as the president of South Africa, started many of them, and it's just not good. One other thing I'll say about Nelson Mandela is he's a liar. On multiple occasions, a liar. One really big lie that he purported was that he was not a communist. He was a member of the Communist Party in Africa, to the point where he was a member of a committee. Now, why would he lie? What is the point of lying that he's a member of the Communist Party? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because communism is responsible for 250 million people who were non-combatants dying in the last century. That might be a reason.
Just small.
This guy right here on the left, Mr. Fidel Castro, is responsible for the deaths of his own people, and he's a communist. Che Guevara is responsible for the deaths, torture, and murders of lots of people.
So have fun wearing him on your shirt.
Yeah, have fun wearing Che Guevara, Stalin, Lenin, any of these people. Nelson Mandela included.
You might as well just have Hitler on your shirt.
Yeah, Hitler's a bad dude, okay? Nobody says he wasn't a bad dude, except maybe the KKK, I suppose, but...
They're bad dudes.
So, let's just move on from there. Oh, one and two. So all these things about Nelson Mandela. He helped found a terrorist organization. This guy was given a Nobel Peace Prize. For what?
Being peaceful. You know, those peaceful tire burnings.
Yeah. Peaceful tire burnings, peaceful bombings.
Oh, very peaceful.
You know, I haven't heard of any trucks of peace. That's usually the Muslims' territory, but
yeah, we just stick with the tires. We can't afford.
They can't afford the truck. They can just have the tire.
They don't have the economy for the full trucks. My gosh, these people. This guy,
I'm sorry.
He's lucky he died before I got to him.
People who go, well, you have no proof that Nelson Mandela did necklacing or actually pressed the trigger on any bombs.
Oh, well.
He chose to marry this woman. The fact that his group repeatedly does necklacings, you think they just came up with that without their leaders?
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned this yet. I know we did in our discussion beforehand, but his wife, she did the whole necklacing for kicks and giggles.
Mm-hmm.
This was her hobby, was finding people that didn't agree with them.
Black or white, by the way. It wasn't just white people.
Didn't matter the color. If you disagreed with them, you were necklaced.
Yep.
And that's what she enjoyed doing it seems, from everything that I can tell.
Yeah.
It was her pastime. So, anyways. Sorry, side note.
I mean, what are you supposed to say? People, I remember my mother when Nelson Mandela died. People were praising him. I honestly didn't know that much about the guy.
Mm-mm.
I just knew his name. I had heard that he was an okay fellow.
Yeah.
I've since changed my mind. But I remember my mother saying,
about 10 minutes on Google,
as soon as he
that.
came up, I forget if she used the word murderer or terrorist. And I didn't understand it, and she didn't explain it, and it wasn't really discussed beyond that. But one other thing, this is my thing. Why doesn't the generation who saw this stuff, why don't they tell us? Why don't you guys tell us who these people are? Tell us what you know, so that we don't follow them.
Those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it. Know who you follow. Know who you're praising. Everybody's saying, Mandela was such a great guy. 10 minutes on Google will change your mind very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
A Google image search of this terrorist organization will change your mind. Yeah, that he co-founded. It will all change your mind. So we're just going to leave you with a little something to relate and bring together everything that we've talked about.
Bye, guys.
Know who you follow.